Welcome to Mulready Minutes with Oklahoma Insurance Commissioner Glenn Mulready. This is a podcast about insurance for insurance folks, risk managers, and business leaders. We'll dive deep and look at what is and isn't working, talk to leaders in the industry, and keep you informed on what's happening in Oklahoma and around the country.
Hey, this is Glenn Mulready, Oklahoma Insurance Commissioner, here with another Mulready Minute podcast. And today we have with us my Chief of Staff, my right and left hand, Brian Downs. Brian, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So we thought we'd kind of, first of all, touch base with, okay, Chief of Staff for the Oklahoma Insurance Department. Tell us about that role and what those responsibilities are, and without slighting me in that somehow.
Yeah, well, I serve as First Deputy Commissioner and your Chief of Staff. And really, I think that what that means is I work, with our exec team members to really oversee the agency operations. We have an exec team covers multiple different divisions within the agency, and I work with them on a daily basis to make sure that, we've got whether it's contracts, whether it's legal orders that we're issuing, procurement, finance, just all really the administrative side of the house. And then obviously there's a lot of projects and involvement on the insurance side of the house that we oversee. But my job is to really make sure that I'm working with you, carrying out your initiatives, as well as our exec team members to make sure that sort of the trains are running on time.
Yeah. So you have a unique perspective. We've got 125 employees, give or take. But you have a unique perspective on the operations of the insurance department. Before we go on, talk a little bit about, not too much, but just in summary, the different divisions, sort of things we're responsible for and what you're kind of touching base with on a regular daily basis, and kind of the inner workings of the department.
Yeah, so I think the easiest way to explain it again is just talking about the sort of administrative side versus the sort of regulatory side. So the administrative side, we've got human resources, we've got our comptroller staff, we've got legal, communications, and then building operations. And then on the insurance side, the regulatory side, it kind of covers whether it's licensing, whether it's we oversee bail bondsmen. We have our financial regulation unit, which has market conduct, financial analysts, and financial examiners. And we have rate and form, licensing, as I've said, just continuing education. There's a lot there on the regulatory side.
Yeah, a lot of folks don't know. I'll just throw that out as sort of a rough number. We license multiple hundreds of thousands of people that come through our building in that licensing process, amongst other things. So, we're in January. Great time to sort of look back 2024, look ahead to 2025, look back to 2024 maybe, and talk about some key highlights of 2024, both within the insurance department, but then also nationally. We are heavily engaged in the NAIC. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but talk about some of the things that have taken place in 2024 for the Oklahoma Insurance Department.
Yeah, I think 2024 was a good year for us. Obviously we are, locally here in Oklahoma City, we're going through a building restoration project, which has been sort of a challenge for us in addressing some water infiltration issues that we have with our office building. And so, but outside of that, I think it's been a really good year. We've really increased our retention rate for our employees. We've had several divisions that have made big strides with technology projects and have been recognized on sort of the national stage. Our licensing division, our captive division has won several awards, really growing the number of captives that we have in the state. And I think also, our premium tax unit has just implemented a surplus lines automation suite for reporting, which has been very successful, and it kind of goes in with our plan for technology projects. And so, there's a lot that we continue to do. One last thing that I would mention is, we've had great success with interns at the agency, and seeing those interns, being able to recruit interns from our local universities and colleges, but to also see them as they finish school to hire a couple of those interns and join our team has been really cool to watch.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that at the end. That's something that I'm pretty passionate's the right word, but love the thought of having young people in our building and kind of opening their eyes to the insurance world and all that it involves. I think sometimes, especially young people, are maybe guilty of thinking of just insurance sales, period. I go sell insurance, but there's so much more between the regulatory side, the financial side, licensing, all kinds of different areas. So I think that's really fun to expose young people to that. And, it's funny, as you mentioned too, I guess it didn't really dawn on me until you just said that, as far as looking back at our past year, that we've got some hardware from some of the awards that our different team members have won and been recognized for nationally and even internationally. I mean, in that captive world, we were one of 3 finalists in the international captive group as a top captive domicile. So, and then our Courtney won that award, and then they actually presented with something to me at our last meeting. So we've got some fun hardware even through that recognition. So,
yeah, and I think those are, a lot of times those awards are given to individuals, but I think it really says a story about our entire team and the support that those individuals have across our divisions.
Good. Okay, 2024. Now looking ahead, 2025. I don't want to say what's keeping you up at night. I think I know one thing that's keeping you up at night, but look ahead to 2025 and what some goals might be, or what we're going to be facing in 2025.
Yeah, I think the main priority, I think, as you were referring to, is just getting our building project completed, which is the top of our list here in Oklahoma City.
Sorry to interrupt you, but let's take just a minute to talk about what's happening there. I know just recently we've been asked a lot because we're on a main road towards the Capitol, and folks are seeing that and asking what is happening with our building.
Yeah, so we've recognized a couple years ago that we had some water infiltration issues after moving into the building in 2020. And we worked pretty hard to investigate what was really causing the water to come into our building. We finally got to a point where we got sort of OMES and their assistance through the construction and properties team, along with some outside help, the Attorney General, and we have developed a plan to fix our building, protect our state asset, and move forward. We've started that several months ago, and we hope that it's completed by early fall of 2025.
Got it. Yeah, and the Attorney General is handling the legal side of that for us. We'll leave it at that. Okay, 2025. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I think one thing that we're both excited about is we're going to have our first cohorts finished with our leadership development program, both expanded leadership team and our emerging leaders program that we've started, really just trying to focus on continuing leadership development of our staff, those training opportunities. And so we're in the midst of that right now, and just kick that off, and we'll see that first cohort completed in 2025. Obviously, the launch of the Strengthen Oklahoma Homes program is a huge deal. Really excited about what that's going to look like in 2025, but also I think it's going to kick us off for a long run of success with that program. And I know that Ashley Scott will be talking about that later. We have a continued push to really look at our technology and process modernization efforts. So we've completed a couple of those technology projects. We've got several more in the queue for 2025, and then we're getting ready to kick off a in-depth process review for all of our internal service divisions, which we're excited about. Again, always trying to look at being more efficient, trying to do things better. And I think the other thing that I recognize is that we have several retirements that are coming in 2025. Even though that's hard to say goodbye to some really key team members, it's a long-time team members. It's really exciting also, I think, to sort of see the evolution of that as we do succession planning, as we look ahead. Who's going to step up into those roles, build more experience, and who are we going to bring in to join our team in the future? And so that's one big thing that I see for us
Yeah. And that also just reminded me of talking about technology, that Brian had the privilege this year of unplugging our longtime server and ceremoniously unplugging it as we moved to the cloud on that. And that had been a long time coming. So as we get ready to close out here, I want to talk some about the NAIC, the National Association of Insurance Commissioners. We are heavily involved in that. The organization made up of 56 regulators, just like us. That would be the 50 states plus DC, and 5 U.S. territories make up that 56. Talk about our relationship with that organization and how we benefit from that, and some of the different roles, that type of thing.
Yeah, I think the biggest benefit of being part of NAIC, and there's other organizations that we're also a part of that bring benefit to OID and to Oklahoma, is just sort of the relationships and the connections that we make across the country. We're in a state-based system of regulation. Even though we're heavily involved and know what the Oklahoma market looks like, knowing what's going on around the country, best practices, market trends, those type of things. I mean, just having those relationships is so key to our everyday work that we do here. Our team at OID is very involved, whether it's task forces, working groups, letter committees at the NAIC level. We're very involved in, the policy development, the conversations that are happening with those committees. One thing that I've been involved with over the last couple of years is developing something that will I think be introduced next month, and that's the NAIC Compass. NAIC Compass is going to be a new training and learning platform that's going to be launched. We've worked on identifying job competencies for people that want to get into insurance regulation. It'll be a training hub for our designation program within the NAIC. And it's going to be, I think, a big game changer for departments across the country when that's launched next month.
Yeah. And, those meetings, we meet a few times a year with NAIC. Those can be a little overwhelming. We're talking, 2,500 people at these meetings, but it has been such a great resource for training and learning for our team as we go there. I guess it was just a great resource that the NAIC has been. So, and I know that this year we've got numerous leadership roles within that. We have our letter committees, of which Oklahoma will be chairing the health insurance committee, the B committee. I know we chair the receivership committee in that as well. So anyways, lots of leadership opportunity for our folks to then lead some national discussions on that. So
yeah, I think there's change that's coming. Obviously, with the new administration in DC, we've had every year the NAIC has an executive officer turnover. So we got new leadership with some committee structure, as you mentioned. And I think that, just telling the story, the success story of state-based regulation going forward and working with our federal partners, federal delegation. But there is a lot of change coming in 2025, and it's going to be really interesting to watch.
Yeah. Good. So good wrap up. Anything for those listening, watching? I'm thinking, what do you think is the biggest misconception of the Oklahoma Insurance Department that's out there?
I
put you on the spot.
Yeah, I don't know that it's a misconception. I think people don't realize all the services that we offer and how much help that we can be to everyday consumers. We do a lot of work in doing consumer outreach and education, and I don't think that is ever going to end. I think that we always have to focus on that because we do have a lot of talented people and resources that can help people in their time of need.
Yeah, great point. Great way to close. Well, Brian, thanks for being with us on this episode of Mulready Minutes. So thanks for joining us. And Brian Downs, Chief of Staff, top guy at the Oklahoma Insurance Department. And we will see you next time.
If you found this episode informative, please subscribe and share with your colleagues. Visit oid.ok.gov/podcast. Let us know what topics you would like to hear about on this podcast. Until next time, take care from the Oklahoma Insurance Department.